Liza Mac, the 2024 season has come to an end. Unfortunately, we didn't make finals, but we obviously did finish on a high, which was great to send off Ree. How's the feeling amongst the group at the moment?
Yeah, the feeling mostly flat. A lot of people also quite sentimental about Ree. She's a massive character for the group, and she's been able to form like amazing connections with the players, but also she's a really good conduit between the staff, coaches and the players in terms of kind of keeping the environment quite lighthearted. So she's a massive character and it'll be a big loss. It is disappointing, I think. Like, you train since February essentially as a group, and then to be out before finals is not what you intend to do. And we were kind of hitting our strides towards the end there. It's unfortunate with injury and a lot of fatigue throughout the season. And then a new group playing together, it kind of takes a few more games to find the cohesion. And then we were able to do that at the end, but just a little bit too late. So ultimately, pretty disappointing, but there is light for next year, and it kind of is like flat at the moment, but there's this underlying buzz for what we could do next year as well.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want to touch on that underlying buzz just yet because 2025 is still a while away. But how nice is it to see those younger players getting that forced experience with all the injuries that we had at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think that was one massive benefit of the injury list, was just players that are first year this year, but even players like Georgia Campbell and Georgia Gould getting consistent games in like key positions and being able to establish themselves, and kind of just having that continuous exposure to games allows them to build confidence, and they're able to find parts of their games that they're really strong at, and then parts that they want to work on, and then they're given the opportunity the following week to work on it rather than having it taken away through selection. So that was a big positive. And then for the draftees, they came in as a really close group. I think the DPA program supports them massively, which is good. And then so they're able to build that connection with the group and kind of slide into the playing team, which was really exciting to see people like Pisano and Riley come in and just have an impact in their first year as well.
I know it's always awkward to talk about yourself, and I said this with Maeve Chaplin yesterday, who also had a great season.
Yeah.
But your career best campaign, how does it feel to be able to look back and see that, you know, you did your best for the team?
Yeah, well, Maeve definitely had an awesome season. Like, she was so good down the back, and it's cool seeing players like Maeve, who's had such a like ebby and flowy career, and now she's like hit her strides and she makes such an impact every game. So it's cool seeing people like Maeve really thriving in the system. And I guess for myself, I don't know, it's hard. You put in a lot of time and effort in the off season, and like lots of little intricate things, like my foot strength is something I had to work on. And it's like for that to come to fruition and just like being able to consistently get my body right for each game, except for my nose, but that was irrelevant.
Out of your hands.
Out of my hands. Yeah, to be able to like see, okay, my body is primed, I'm able to get through every game and kind of play consistently and not worry about my body is like, that's just one stress gone, and then you're able to kind of just focus on your footy, which has been good. There's still, I need to like work on my kicking and things like that, but that's exciting for next season. But yeah, it was good having a fun season this year.
What were some of those things, like you said, foot strength, anything else that you would like really trying to hone in on in that big chunk of time before the season? Yeah,
definitely. I think last season was a lot about just getting through the season with my back, and it meant like not being able to train contest work and tackling consistently, which was just killing me, because then I'd get into games and that would be the weakest part of my game. So the pre-season, I just worked on that as much as I could, and then got strong enough that like my back wasn't an issue in those areas anymore, so I could consistently train it throughout the whole season, which was huge. And having Max Viney, like that expertise, it just, you could see it in all the girls' tackling techniques. It'd come a long way, so reaping the benefits of that was big. But yeah, otherwise, I think there's just little things like doing hands before every training and kind of having those habits that you do as often as you can, and on your off days, and actually doing the recovery stuff as well is big.
And then how have you found it within that midfield group?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like the pre-season, I think just with Blaheen being in Ireland and Amy as well, and then we had a few injuries from pre-season, and pre-season, so it kind of meant that we didn't have enough for wing. So I was just training as a mid in pre-season, which was so fun, and you get to work like right alongside Kate and Hanksy and playing on them, and Liv Purcell and just the whole mid group. It's awesome. And then kind of building that on-ground connection, and then come game day, I'm not actually playing in that like mid bubble, but you know, they know you're there just through like sheer repetitions at training. And same with Vin. Vin's been awesome. Like we do vision every week, and he just like he's able to do that for every player in his group. So you kind of that care, you really want to go out and be able to play your role and do exactly what he wants you to do, because you know that he's put all this extra time into making sure that, you know, you're seeing the positives of the game and where there's room for improvement. So he's been huge for the group as well.
And then you spoke a lot about like other players that have made an impact. Has there been anyone else that you think may have flown under the radar with their impact both internally and, you know, maybe on field?
Yeah, I think like Fitzy, I don't know if I should call her Megan or Fitzy, it doesn't matter.
Fitzsimon.
People know her as Fitzy. So. She's great every season, and I think this season, probably for her as well, realising she's not the youngest in the team. Like we've been together, we got drafted together, so we've been playing together since then. And for her to come in and just every game, her pressure acts, her tackling, like Mick does the pressure podium after every week, and Fitzy's in there every week. So she's just does all the hard work and lots of little things that like don't get stats, don't get external recognition, but like internally she's so valued, and she's a massive reason the team is able to then go and play offense freely, or, you know, defend last minute plays, because she's doing like little things like smothering and corralling. She's just phenomenal, and I think she deserves a lot of recognition.
Shout out to Fitzy.
Shout out.
Just lastly, obviously I know we already touched on it briefly at the start, and you won't have your team meeting until this afternoon with Mick, but what do you think the main message was from Mick after the game and heading into, you know, the off season?
I think there was a bit of pride in just like the way the girls kind of shifted their attitude this season. I think last season there was a lot of negativity about like our losses, and people kind of, it was just turned into frustration, whereas this year there was a real like sense of everyone is channeling this into positivity, and okay, we've lost again, how can we make this week a really positive environment so it sets us up to play well on the weekend. And even when it was like we were having these really positive weeks and then week after week we were losing, it wasn't like, okay, it's not working anymore, like let's just start turning on each other.
Yeah.
It was really like, okay, we've got to persist, and this didn't work last week, so what can we do this week to fix it? So I think Mick was really pleased with that, and it probably makes his job as a coach a lot easier, not having to deal with like emotions and things like that. So there's that, and then there's just that we've got a bit of a job to do next year, re-establish ourselves and get back in the 8.
Keen to hear more from the Ds? Subscribe here.